reading negatives on this thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so you got your 10 by 10 grid. Draw it on your paper.
Ten squares.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Everybody have a look at this. All right, last year we talked a lot. We did a lot of graphing of line. On that line, your M is your slope. So what is slope of a line again? Rise over run, that's right. So your slope of your line is your rise over your run, which is essentially your change in your y over your change in your x, right? Yeah. Okay? So I'm going to start with this as our method to graph today. Just, again, refresher, because there's a lot of you that said, hey, I don't remember this from last year, so that's fine. All right, so the first thing I need to do is I need to use my equation, and I need to solve for y and get it by itself. All right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to get 4y by itself. So how do I move that negative 3x to the other side? Add it. So I get 4y is equal to 3x add 12. Now I need to get y by itself. What do I do to get y by itself? Divide both sides. All right, so let's write this equation down now as it's written. So write that down as it's written. Y equals 3/4 x plus 3.
How did you get 4y to the other side? Did you subtract it?
I didn't. I just divided by 4. Divide 3 by 4 and 12 by 4. Okay? All right, now, the b part of this is what I refer to as my y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? If I'm looking at a graph, how do I identify what the y-intercept is? Say that again?
0, 3.
Yeah, no, but, okay, just generally speaking.
It's the intercept of where, or
If I'm looking at my graph,
coordinates of where the line crosses the y-axis.
okay, that's better. All right, so if I'm looking at the graph, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. What is the value of x along the y-axis?
3, 2.
Oh, 0. All right, so let's have a look and see. We're going to move over to the next page, and I'm going to just draw this. There's my y-axis, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's the vertical one. So mark that in y. Here's my x-axis here. What is my x value along that y-axis? It's 0. So I have a choice. I can look at my graph if it's given to me, and I can see where it crosses, and that's my y-intercept. In an equation, I can substitute in 0 for x, solve for y, and that's my y-intercept. If the equation is written in y equals mx plus b form, that means then that my graph crosses right there on the graph at 0 and 3. So I go to my starting coordinate, 1, 2, 3, which is right here. There's my starting coordinate. Okay? So I put 0 in for x. 3/4 times 0 is
0.
0. 0 add 3 is 3. So that's where this line is going to cross the axis right there. Question, Brock?
When you're like breaking down the formula or the question, the equation.
Yeah.
If you do it in like the chart thing, where it's like
Yeah,
X and Y.
I'm going to do that after. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that one after. I want to work with this guy first. Okay, and then I'm gonna show you the intercept part. Okay, so once I have found the coordinate, my y-intercept, that's my b value, all right, which is always going to be located right there. Now I read what my map tells me to do. The slope of the line is found where in the equation? Where is the slope always found? In the equation, where is it found? Question?
B.
Nope, not b.
M.
It's my m, but where is it located?
In front of the x.
In front of the x, perfect. That's what I wanted to hear. When it's in y equals mx plus b, my slope is found right here. There's my slope, always found in front of the x value. Now, if there is no number there, if there's no number written in, what is that value? 1 over 1. Very good. Okay, so what does my slope tell me to do? All right, now, this is for Kostya, all right, and Isabella. The slope. This represents my rise, my change in my y. If it's a positive, it means you go up. If it's a negative, you go down. Okay, Kostya, or sorry, Tobias, you follow that? If that value on top is positive, you go up. If it's negative, you go down. If this value is positive, you go right. If it's negative, you go left. Now the reason for that is when I look at my graph, this is positive, this is positive, that's negative, right? So where is this graph telling me to go then?
Up 3. Right.
Up 3, right 4. So I count up 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I have to go right 4. 2, 3, 4, right to there. And I draw my line through there, like that. Okay? Grace, is that better?
Yeah.
Follow that?
I follow you.
Okay. So far, are we okay? Tobias, you all right? So this is where I start. This is where I go to get to my next point. Okay? All right. Now, I showed you 2 other methods yesterday. I'm going to use the x and y intercept method now to find coordinates. So again, if you're looking at this equation right now, all that I need to graph a line is one coordinate and the slope, because the slope takes me to the next coordinate. But to graph a line, you need 2 points on the graph. Fair enough? Okay, so this is another way in which I can get 2 points on the graph. I can put 0 in for x and 0 in for y and solve for the other. So let's put 0 in for x. What's negative 3 times 0? 0. That leaves me with 4y equals 12. How do I get y by itself? Divide by 4, which gives me 3. So 0 and 3 is one of my coordinates. Now I'm going to put 0 in for y. Tobias, you follow me? I put a 0 in for y. 4 times 0 is 0. So I have negative 3x is equal to 12. How do I get x by itself? Divide by negative 3. So that gives me what?
-4.
Negative 4. So now I'm going to mark those 2 coordinates on my graph and draw a line through them. Here's 0 and 3. There's negative 4 and 0. There's 2 coordinates. And I draw my line between those 2 coordinates. All right? Brock, did I answer the question that you were going to ask earlier?
Yeah, I was just, because the way you did it yesterday, it was like you just took, like, you substituted the 0 in for x,
Yeah.
and then you just, like, what did you need to multiply by 4 to get to 12? It was just 3. But I was just wondering, since that was a negative, well, now it must be negative to get a positive 12. I was just wondering.
Okay.
So, there you go.
All right. Any other questions? This is how we draw a line. This is how we drew a line last year. One of these two methods is usually how we did it. Okay? You all right? Grace, you okay?
Yep.
Tobias? So? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any questions about this?
Wasn't there a third method?
There was a third where I could substitute any value in for x and solve for y. I don't use it as much because I intend to, if I don't know my times table all that well, I'll end up with fractions. I don't like using fractions. But yes, there is another way to do that. Okay? All right, any questions? I'm going to move on now. All right, so let's try one more graph, okay? And then I'll bring it back to what we did yesterday. So let's go, go. Okay, so I want to graph that line on the graph that you've got. You've got your grid ready to go. So I want you to graph it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to solve, put it into y equals mx plus b as your first way. Now I don't like to use, I wouldn't use the method here of the intercepts because I'm going to end up with a fraction. One of them will work as a whole number, the other one won't. So I want to put it into y equals mx plus b. So I want you to do that right now. Put it into y equals mx plus b. First step. First step.
X to the other side.
X to the other side. So 2y is equal to
Negative 5x.
negative 5x add 4. How many of you couldn't start there? Be honest. Okay, so I'm trying to isolate the y, right? Brock?
Yeah.
So I got to get this by itself, so I got to move that first. Now I got to get y by itself, so what do I do next? Divide by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. All right, how many of you got that correct? Who did not get it correct? Put up your hand. Okay. Kylie, what did you have?
I had 2y equals 5x, and then x equals 4.
Okay. So, did you move that to this side? Yeah. Okay. So you want to leave this guy as is. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
So then I'm going to subtract the 5x. Okay? And then and all the other signs stay the same as is. All right? Okay. Who else didn't get it right? Just put up your hand so I can find out where you're.
But I don't go to the top.
Say again. Oh yeah.
I think I
Okay. So you got to divide everything by 2. That's the important part. Whatever you do here, you got to do to these two as well. Okay. So my y-intercept, my b value is what? What is it? 2. My slope is negative 5 over 2. What's my starting coordinate? 0, 2. Well said. All right, and where does my slope tell me to go?
Down.
Jason?
Down 5, right 2.
Down 5, right 2. So let's get this set up then. Zero and 2, right there.
0 and 2, is that your B?
Yep. That's my B coordinate, right? So I write it like this. Bless you. You could write it like this too, Brock, if that makes it easier for you. because when I put 0 in for x, I'm left at 2y equals 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? All right, 0 and 2, down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then right 2. 1, 2.
What about for that one? How would you do that? Just substitute 0 for y.
Okay, so this coordinate right here. So Brock's asking about this coordinate right here. I know this guy is 0 and 2, right? Well, what is this coordinate here? It's something in 0. So if I put 0 in for y here, I go 5x plus 2 times 0 equals 4. Right? What's 2 times 0?
0.
So I get 5x equals 4. What does x equal? What is it? Okay, how do I get x by itself? What is it? Divide by 5. So that becomes 4 over 5.
0.8 then.
0.8, that's right. So that would be 4 over 5 and 0 right there. 4/5 and 0. Okay? So that's why I don't use the often. All right, I like the y equals mx plus b because I get whole numbers. But that's okay. That would have been fine had you done that. Okay?
So x is always first on the, like when you,
You always do your horizontal first, which is always your x.
Yeah, it's because when you have slope, it's rise first and then run.
Rise over run.
Yeah, like
Yes.
yeah.
Okay? You okay?
Yep.
All right. Any questions? None? So I'm going to change this question a little bit. Any questions about how to draw a line? How many of us are okay now? Drawing a line, to be honest. Who's still struggling a bit? I know Tobias because it's new for you, Paige, maybe.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you said your slope was -5 over 2, correct?
That's right.
So how'd you get to 4/5?
That was because I substituted in 0 for y.
that was the chart process.
That was the chart process.
It's still on the line.
It's still on that line, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you
Okay.
went from that point.
All right. Here's how I change this question a little bit. Now what do? The question now reads, 5x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 4.
Change the question to just 5x plus 2 equals 4.
That's right. So I've already done all that work, right? I've drawn my line. Is my line solid or dashed?
Dash.
Solid because it's equals to.
Solid because it's equals to. Great. Answered question number 2 real quick. That was awesome. Okay? Now what's the third step? What do I got to do? Shade. And what do I determine which side of the line I shade on?
0.
Pick a point. Any point.
0.
All right? I like 0 and 0. So I put 0 in here and 0 in here. That gives me 0 on this side. Is 0 greater than or equal to 4? Is 0 larger than 4?
No.
No. So then this part right here is not on the shade. And I'm done. So that part's not very tough, is it? Just one quick step and done. So as long as you can draw your line, the shading part should be fairly easy. And again, I have to go back into my inequality to plug in the values so that I find out whether or not it's good or not. Okay?
Bless you. Bless you.
All right, let's look at 6-1 now. All right, I'm going to give you another equation. On that same graph that you're using, I want you to work through this. So we're going to start easy. I'm going to throw you a softie right off the hop here. That's ginormous. Y is greater than 3x plus 1. I want you to graph that for me, please. Y is greater than 3x plus 1.
You got to a great start here. This is a trick recording. See, the other side of this side, this is 0, and this side 1, right? So you plug it into this equation. And if it's true, then you shade over it. If it's not, you shade the other line. Anyway.
Okay. Here's off to a good start. Starting coordinate is what? 0, 1. Well done. Slope of this line? 3 over 1. Solid or dashed?
Dash.
Dashed, dotted, yeah, that's right. Why again? Right, none of the solutions on the actual line would satisfy that equation because it's not equal to. So I go to 0 and 1, right there. Where does my slope tell me to go now?
3 up, 1 right.
3 up, 1 right.
What? Like, how is it 3 over 1?
Any whole number can be written over 1.
It's 3 divided by
So
1.
if it's 3 divided by 1 is still 3, right? 4 divided by 1, so we just add the 1 to help us for slope. Okay? All right, so now I draw my dashed line as such. How many of us got that far? Anybody not get that far? What happened?
I'm not really sure. Yeah. Yeah.
With 3 off.
Just
How it looks different, I don't know.
Okay, so how do you make it not look different? Change it by putting an equals in.
That's what I did after, and then it made a little more sense.
Brooklyn? If you just change that to an equals and treat it the same way, then you're okay. Okay? All right? Now, what's the last thing I got to do? Shade. So what do I do to shade? How do I figure out which side of the line? Pick a point, right? So I'm going to use 0 and 0 right here. So that means I've got 0 on this side. What's 3 times 0? 0. 0 add 1 is? Is 0 greater than 1? No, so I can't shade there. So I shade right there. Okay, how many of us got that entirely correct? How many of us didn't get the shading part right? Okay, so what did you do?
I don't know, I just didn't get it. I don't know.
Do you follow what I did
Yeah, I
here?
understand it. I just didn't get it
Okay, you're okay? Kylie?
Yeah. I just guessed which side and didn't know what I was doing.
Okay, so, right, so you pick a coordinate here, put it in for x and y in this equation, and if the equation's true, you shade over whatever point you picked.
Okay.
If it's false, then you shade the other side. Okay? Any other comments or questions? Should we try one more?
Yes, please.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. I'm going to do this one real quick. Graph that one, please. Let me make it 4.
Because I don't know what you chose.
Y is greater than or equal to 4. Don't be afraid to put these on the same graph. I'm not too worried. You're just practicing anyways. You got it. Okay, these couple things. Just figure out this and
Oh my god.
Okay. 2 people got this right.
Come check me.
I've got some graphs going.
Yeah, you're close, Tasha. You're almost there.
Was I right?
You're right.
Oh,
Okay, let's show you. All right. What's the first thing I should have done here? Make it equal to. Make it equal to, right? Y equals 4. What does that line look like? Yes. Yes, it is. Does it matter what x is? What's y going to equal? 4.
Right.
Because there's, yeah, that's right. There's no up or down slope. Slope would be technically 0. So this is what this looks like. There it is right there. All right. So it's a trick question. I wanted to see how many of you could get it. Bryce, you almost got it. Kosh, you got it. Alexander got it. All right. Now I just got to decide, where is y greater than 4 on here? Above or below that line? Above. All the values of y are greater than that. Where? Up here.
Clearly.
Okay? Trick question. So how would it look different if I said x was greater than 4?
It'd be just up and down.
It'd just be up and down. And it would be to the right or to the left on the shade.
Right.
Right. Good for you. Okay? All right, now I'll give you another one. I just wanted to see. I saw that in here, so I thought I'd throw it at you.
I did get X way for some reason.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
I'm going to change this, so let's go. X minus 2y is less than or equal to 6. Or just less than 6. All right, graph that guy for me, please. All right, first thing you should do is check your equation with the board. How many of us got the equation right on the board?
Yes.
I got Y, show me how to do it.
Yeah, one over
I
zero.
got Y equals 2X plus 6.
Yeah.
All right,
That's mine.
okay. Again, what's my objective here is to get what by itself? Y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is move x to the other side. So how do I move the x to the other side? Subtract, that's right. Minus 2y equals negative x, add 6. Right? And that's the trick. Because there's no number in front, we often get confused as to what to do with it. But there is technically a number in front of it. It's a 1, right? So we just, if it makes you feel better, put a 1 in there if that's what helps you. Okay? Now I need to get, okay, Amy, I want you to watch here because this is where the error happens. I need to get y by itself. So what am I dividing everything by?
Negative.
Negative 2. Okay, so that was in there. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then let's subtract 3. Did I do that as plus 3 last time?
Yeah.
I think I did, didn't I?
Whatever.
Yeah.
So you subtracted
Either way, I thought it was right.
I had.
Okay, so how many got that right? Because I clearly didn't.
I got
I
the
got
slope wrong.
2 of you.
I got it right.
Yeah. Okay, so that was right. Okay. What's my y-intercept?
Negative
3. Y-intercept's negative 3. What's my slope?
1
1 over 2. Okay. So solid or dashed? Dashed. Okay. So I go to 0, negative 3. Right there. Up 1, right 2. Okay, one of the things that I just mentioned, Alexander, make sure you have arrowheads on all your lines, please. Axes, and on your lines. Make sure you have arrowheads on them. All right? What's the last step here? Brooklyn, what do I got to do now? I need to know how to shade. I got to shade. So how do I determine whether I shade up here or down here?
You put a number in, which is like 0, and then you
I put a coordinate in.
yeah.
Okay, so here's my equation here, Brooklyn. So I'm going to go x minus 2y is less than 6. Which point do you want to use?
0.
0, and I'm asking you for a point. That means an x and a y. So say 0 and 0.
0.
Yeah, you nailed it. What 0 subtract 0?
0.
I think he'd be offended if he was called nothing. Okay, what's 0 less than 6? Is it less than 6? 0 less than 6? Yeah, so then I shade over it.
Good job, Brooklyn.
Good job, Brooklyn. Okay? None of us got it entirely correct.
I didn't get the shading.
Okay? Shading, how come?
Oh, it's just because like I don't plug it in right. Because I keep struggling to halfway put it in 0.
So you put it in the original equation.
Yeah.
Okay? Listen up. Grace's comment, she doesn't know where to put that coordinate in, but you put it in at, you put it in at that part right there at the original equation is where you put 0 and 0 in. And again, you do not need to use 0 and 0. And do not use 0 and 0 if it's actually on the line. But 0 and 0 is the best coordinate to use because then it's just quick math. All right? But you can use any coordinate. Should we try one more?
1 and 1, then?
Yeah, you
I
can
think
use
It's
one.
just as easy.
I think
Yeah.
that's right.
Oh,
But if
one,
it's on 0,
one
0,
subtract
then
2
1,
is
1. Like,
Yeah, okay.
negative 1. Negative 1 is less. Yeah, that's fine too.
Give her one more. I have faith I can get this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want to make it easy or should I make it hard?
hard.
Just
Hard
go
to
in the
get.
middle.
You get it.
Smile.
Okay.
Make all the ones in the test.
Crack the old whip.
Alright, I'm going to, I'm sure I can do this in my head, but I want to try that. Okay, let's try this one then.
You know, you're in the page.
Okay, do that guy. Signs again?
I had
All right, who had it right? Okay, who did not have the signs correct?
like the
I am positive.
Yeah,
I didn't follow.
The negative y scared me, so I didn't know.
the negative y, yeah.
Then you have to change that.
No, I just got rid of the y first. And made it
It has to be a
positive.
positive y equals. Okay, so Brock's question is, do you have to change it? The answer is yes. You have to have a positive y. It has to be a positive y equals
Oh, I see.
in order to do y equals mx plus b. Now, just a thought though, Brock. What if I say to you, you don't have to do that, and you wanted to use your intercept method? This would have been a perfect one to use it, right? X, y. Have a look at this, Brock. Put 0 in for x. 0 here, that gives me minus y equals 3. So what is y equal?
Oh.
Negative 3. Right? Put 0 in for y. What's x equal? 3. Okay? So if you are unsure until you get really confident in it, don't be afraid to use that intercept method too. Okay, so we got that. So what's my y-intercept? Negative 3. What's my slope? 1 over 1. 1, 2, 3, right to here. Up 1, right 1. Solid or dashed?
Solid.
Solid.
What? Why?
Because of the equals to. That means that the solution can be a part of that line. So if I pick this coordinate 0 and 3 right here, okay, I want to explain that to you. That solid line, dash line thing, if I pick this point here, which is on it, that's 0 and 3. Agreed? So I'm going to put it into this equation. So x is 0, negative 3, greater than or equal to 3. That's negative 3 here, like that. Okay? 0 subtract negative 3 is what?
Positive 3.
Positive 3. Is positive 3 greater than or equal to 3?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. So now it's included in that set. Now, what if I took this out of here? What if I took that out of there and made it this? Is 3 greater than 3?
No.
No. That's why I would have to make this a dashed line then, because then I can't have an answer on the line. Does that make sense, Rowan?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it's solid if it's an equals to, and a dash if it's not equals to. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, well, how did you put your points on this graph? Oh, yeah, those 2 points.
Okay, so I went to 0, negative 3 because of this. That's my starting point. So if I put 0 in for x here, what's y equal? Negative 3. So I go to 0, negative 3, right? And then my slope told me to go up 1 and right 1 to here. That's my next point.
That's correct.
Okay? Any other questions? Paige, go ahead.
So you're saying if it's true, you shade to the.
Oh yeah, we haven't shaded yet. I haven't shaded yet. Yes, if it's true, then you shade over that. Okay, so let's go back to this. Let's pick our 0 and 0. 0 subtract 0 is 0 is 0 greater than 3?
No.
No. So I shade down there. Does that answer your question, Paige?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You don't have a lot of time today, but I'm going to give you time the rest of the class, again, and probably part of tomorrow, to work on that 6.1. It's pretty important that we get the basics down because it's going to get a little more complicated. So I will give out graph paper. Again, if you can get some, that would be ideal. But the next section is graphing 2 equations and shading, so I want to make sure that we hammer this out before we go on to the next one. Okay? So you got 6.1 to work on today, and I'll give you graph paper.
I barely hit one. Like this. Come on.
If it's on your skin, it's like a cotton.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is funny.